Welcome to you, son of a witsy H. Back for more, huh? Good. Because this week, we're going to dive into some seriously wild flash fiction. You know, the kind that takes those stories we all think we know, like those classic myths and legends and all that, and twists them into something, well, something totally unexpected.
Yeah, it's amazing how flash fiction can pack so much punch in such a short space.
Yeah,
Takes these big, epic ideas and kind of distills them down to their purest form. It's like a shot of fantasy espresso.
exactly. And for this week's Wizarding Probe, we've got two stories that really exemplify that. They take us to some pretty familiar territory, Oz and Neverland, but trust me, you've never seen them quite like this before.
Oh, I'm intrigued already. And the fact that we're talking about these classic settings, but with these hints of something darker, something more complex, well, that's what makes it so exciting.
Right. So first up, we're heading to Oz. But forget about Dorothy as this innocent farm girl. In this flash fiction story, she's a young mage, like from our world, who accidentally stumbles into Oz and ends up smack dab in the middle of some serious magical politics.
Right.
And the Wicked Witch, well, let's just say she's not exactly who we thought she was.
Okay, so we're already playing with expectations, subverting the classic tropes. I like it.
And the really fascinating thing here is this concept of wild magic the story introduces. It's this idea of magic being instinctual, fueled by emotion, rather than, all those spells and rituals we usually see. Like, what does that even mean for a magical system? And what happens when someone like Dorothy with this raw, untamed power comes face to face with a society that's all about order and control?
It's a brilliant setup for conflict. You've got this inherent power, this almost primal force colliding with a rigid structure. It's like, lightning striking a clock tower. What's going to happen?
Well, things get pretty wild pretty fast. I mean, Dorothy's arrival is, let's just say, dramatic. Her farmhouse gets caught in this, and I quote, tornado tantrum, and she lands in Oz after accidentally squashing the Wicked Witch of the East. Instant hero, right?
You'd think so, but... Oh, there's always a but, isn't there?
Oh, there is. But instead of freaking out, Dorothy's feeling this surge of energy like something's clicking into place. The story says she feels reckless, almost like this whole crazy situation feels, well, right.
That's so interesting. It's like her arrival in Oz is awakening something inside her, some dormant potential. And it's tied to this wild magic. She's not just a girl who got swept up in a storm. She's becoming something more.
Yeah. And of course, the Munchkins are all like, yay, you saved us. Now go fight the Wicked Witch of the West. But Dorothy, she's got other things on her mind. She's not really all that interested in being the hero of Oz. She just wants to figure out how to get back to Kansas.
Which, is totally understandable. Who wouldn't want to go home after something like that? But it also sets her apart from the usual hero archetype. She's not driven by some grand sense of destiny or, the need to save the world. She's just trying to get back to normal.
Exactly. And then we get to the iconic companions. The Cowardly Lion, the Tin Man, and the Scarecrow. They all want something from the wizard courage, a heart, a brain. But Dorothy, she's got something else entirely.
Yeah.
This wild magic. And it seems like Oz itself is, amplifying it.
And the way the story describes her journey with them, it's not like she's leading this grand army. It's more like she's figuring things out as she goes, like she's improvising this whole magical adventure.
Right. And when they confront those guards at the castle, it's almost comical. But then things start to happen around Dorothy. Things that seem like accidents at first. The lion's roar gets supercharged. The Tin Man's axe starts attracting metal. The Scarecrow's straw bursts into flames at just the right moment. It's like this wild magic is unpredictable, but it's definitely powerful.
And she's not consciously controlling it, right? It's
Yeah.
almost reacting to the situation, to her emotions. It's like the story saying, hey, this is what raw magic looks like. It's messy, it's chaotic, but it gets the job done.
And then, of course, they finally meet the Wicked Witch of the West. But, surprise, she's not some cackling old hag. She's young, furious, and she immediately recognizes Dorothy for what she is, a wielder of wild magic. And here's the thing. Dorothy doesn't just see an enemy. She sees, a reflection of herself, but darker, twisted.
It's such a cool twist on the classic good versus evil dynamic. Suddenly, there's this connection, this potential for understanding, even between these two seemingly opposing forces.
Yeah, and then the biggest shocker. The Wicked Witch offers to train Dorothy, not in fancy spells and stuff, but in how to really unleash her wild magic.
Yeah.
And the Munchkins, they're horrified, right? But Dorothy, she's actually into it. Suddenly going back to Kansas doesn't seem so appealing anymore.
It's like she's finally found something that truly resonates with her. This raw power, this potential to shape reality itself. Going back to a normal life just wouldn't cut it anymore.
Right. And the story ends with this hint that Dorothy might choose to stay in Oz, to embrace this wild magic, even if it means siding with the supposed villain. It makes you wonder, is she going to become a hero
Yeah.
or something else entirely?
I mean, talk about a cliffhanger, right? It completely changes the whole Oz narrative, and it makes you think about the nature of power, about the choices we make when faced with something extraordinary. Like, what would you do if you suddenly discovered this hidden potential within yourself?
Okay, so that was Oz completely flipped on its head. And now, for our second flash fiction story, we're setting sail for Neverland. But again, this isn't the happy-go-lucky Neverland we all know. It's darker, more unsettling. And Peter Pan, he's not just a playful boy who refuses to grow up. He's locked in this intense battle with Captain Hook, who, in this story, is a pirate mage with his own agenda.
Interesting. So we're adding magic to the mix, which automatically raises the stakes. And the idea of Neverland being more than just a whimsical paradise, well, that's pretty intriguing.
Right. So the story starts by giving us a different perspective on the Lost Boys. They're not just orphans who stumble onto the island. They've chosen to be there, drawn in by Peter's promise of eternal youth. But even in their joy, there's this hint of something else, something almost desperate, like staying young forever comes at a price.
That's a really important point. It suggests that Peter's whole shtick about never growing up might be more complicated than we thought. Like, maybe he's not just afraid of responsibility, maybe he's running from something truly terrifying.
Yeah. And then we see how this eternal childhood can actually be, well, pretty messed up. The Lost Boys play these cruel games, and even when Wendy shows up with this whole idea of a mother, a family, you can see some of them longing for that connection, even if it's just for a moment. But Wendy, she senses something off about Peter, something that makes her decide to leave. And then even John and Michael, they eventually disappear. And Peter's reaction, he's not exactly heartbroken. He goes looking for them at the edges of Neverland, where the magic starts to fade, where memories of the real world come back. And then he sinks their rowboat. Like he literally destroys their chance of escape.
Whoa, that is dark. And it completely reframes Peter's character. He's not just a carefree boy anymore. He's become something, well, possessive, almost tyrannical. It's like he's willing to do whatever it takes to maintain this illusion of eternal youth, even if it means hurting those closest to him.
Exactly. And then we get to Captain Hook. He's not just a bumbling pirate in this story. He's a sorcerer who understands the true nature of Neverland. He sees it for what it is, a trap, and his goal. He wants to freeze time, not just for himself, but for his entire crew. So it's not just a personal vendetta against Peter, it's this whole philosophical clash about time, about mortality.
It's a battle of ideologies, really. Peter clinging to childhood, Hook trying to manipulate time itself. And their fights, they're not just sword fights anymore, they're these magical duels with ice magic versus wind and flight. It's epic.
Oh, totally. But even when Peter wins, even when he's standing there with, bloody triumph and the Lost Boys are cheering, there are these little moments where you see him catch his reflection in the water. And there's this hollowness in his eyes. Like maybe he's starting to realize that staying young forever isn't all it's cracked up to be.
It's like he's starting to glimpse the emptiness of a life without change, without growth. That even in Neverland, there's this undercurrent of loss, of something missing.
And then Hook comes back. But he doesn't come back with a sword or a cannon. He comes back with a locket with a picture of a mother's face. And he tries to taunt Peter with it, with the idea of forgotten love, of memories fading away. But before he can finish, one of the Lost Boys shoots him down. But here's the thing. Peter picks up that locket, and he stares at his own reflection in it. And the story says he's forever unchanged.
Man, that's such a powerful image. It's like he's confronted with everything he's given up for the sake of eternal youth. The love, the connection, the memories. And it's all reflected in this locket, this symbol of everything he's chosen to reject.
Right. And even though Hook is dead and the Lost Boys are celebrating, Peter's not with them. He's sitting alone, staring at that locket, and you can tell something's shifted inside him. And then, the final scene. He looks over at Hook's ship, where all this dark magic is still swirling around, and he starts thinking about a new kind of crew, one that never ages, one that never leaves. It's like he's starting to understand the true cost of his immortality, and he's starting to embrace the darkness that comes with it.
That ending is chilling, man. It's like Peter's taken a step towards becoming the very thing he fought against. He's choosing isolation, stagnation, over growth, and connection. It's a pretty bleak outlook on the whole idea of eternal youth.
So what have we learned from our wizarding probe into these two twisted tales? Well, in our Oz story, we saw how Dorothy's arrival could actually disrupt the whole magical system. It's like her wild magic represents this untamed force that challenges everything Oz is built on. And it makes you wonder, is her journey really about going home? Or is it about something bigger, something more about self-discovery and challenging the status quo?
And in Neverland, we got this dark and thought-provoking look at the consequences of refusing to grow up. Peter Pan, clinging to his eternal youth, ends up isolated, haunted by loss, and ultimately tempted by a darker path. It makes you question, what are we really giving up when we try to hold on to something that's meant to change, to evolve? And is there a point where the pursuit of endless youth actually becomes a kind of curse?
These flash fiction stories, they might be short, but they're packed with big ideas. They make us rethink these familiar stories and characters and challenge our assumptions about good and evil, about power and choice. They encourage us to look beyond the surface, to question what we think we know, and to explore the complexities of these fantastical worlds.
Absolutely. And they remind us that even in the wildest corners of fantasy, there are lessons to be learned about ourselves, about the choices we make, and about the consequences of those choices.
So keep those magical curiosities alive, folks. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep those imaginations firing. Until our next wizarding probe, remember to rate and follow you, son of a witch, for more mind-bending tales from the world of flash fiction.